All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're taking on one of the most physically thrilling and honestly technically demanding maneuvers in all of aviation. In this explainer, we're going to master the steep level turn. We are talking about banking the aircraft at extreme angles, anywhere between 45 and 60 degrees. Just imagine you're cruising along, right? And suddenly, you are rolling the aircraft into this incredibly tight, aggressive turn at an entry speed of 95 knots. It requires absolute precision, flawless control coordination, and it demands that you maintain a constant height and speed while the entire world outside your window just tilts violently. It's a rush.
So, here is our flight plan for this explainer. We'll be hitting pre-flight safety checks, executing perfect steep turns, correcting common turn faults, and finally, surviving stalls and warnings.
But hey, before we even touch the yoke, we gotta talk about the physical reality of what you're about to do. 2. That is the magic number here. That represents the G-forces, specifically pushing up to about 1.5 to 2 Gs, that will literally pin you back into your seat during a properly executed steep turn. Because of that extreme angle of bank and the much faster rate of turn, the increased G-loading on your body is intense. It is an absolute adrenaline-pumping sensation that physically demands your attention, all while you're trying to carefully fly the plane.
Section 1. Pre-flight safety checks. Grounding in protocol.
Okay, before any steep turn is even demonstrated, let alone practiced, you absolutely must execute the pre-aerobatic hassle check. Let's run through this acronym because it's a lifesaver. H is for height. You need enough altitude to guarantee recovery by 2,000 feet above ground level. A is for airframe, making sure it's configured and trimmed out for straight and level flight. S stands for security, seatbelts tight, and crucially, 0 loose articles in the cockpit. I mean it, you do not want a stray pen flying at your face under 2 Gs. E is for engine, which means checking that your oil temps and pressures are solidly in the green. L is for location. You really want to be well away from populated areas, ideally over a nice big expanse of water. And that final L is for lookout, basically sweeping the area to make sure you're clear of birds and other traffic. Moving right along to Section 2, executing perfect steep turns, the mechanics of flight.
Let's walk through the actual kinetic steps of a left turn together. First up, from a nice straight and level attitude, you're going to roll into a turn just slightly faster than normal, using enough rudder to keep that little ball perfectly centered. The second you hit about 30 degrees of bank, boom, you immediately open the throttle fully and add backward pressure to hold your attitude. Once you lock in that desired 45-degree bank, you hold it steady and increase the backward pressure just a bit more to tighten up the turn. And then there's the rollout. You've really got to anticipate your chosen heading here. Exactly 30 degrees before you hit your mark, you start taking off the bank, you pull the throttle back to cruise power, which is around 1900 RPM, and you relax that backward pressure at the exact same time so you don't accidentally balloon your altitude.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how you translate that wild physical sensation of the turn into the hard data right in front of you on the dashboard. When you're being squished into your seat during a right turn, you need to quickly glance inside and verify what the instruments are screaming at you. Your artificial horizon's bank pointer? It should be locked in at exactly a 45-degree bank. Your turn coordinator will definitely show a faster rate of turn, but remember, that ball must stay perfectly centered. Your compass and directional gyro will be rapidly spinning through headings, and you're actually going to notice your airspeed dropping off a bit because of that increased load factor we talked about. Matching what you feel in your gut to this specific instrument check, well, that's what makes a truly great pilot.
All right, Section 3. Correcting common turn faults, troubleshooting the turn.
Let's face it, even the pros get a little sloppy sometimes. This breakdown brilliantly illustrates the exact opposite natures of the 2 most common attitude faults you're going to see. On one hand, you have low attitude. This is where the nose drops down, your airspeed starts climbing, and your altimeter shows you actively losing height. Not good. On the exact opposite side, you have high attitude. The nose pitches too far up, your airspeed drops, and you're suddenly gaining height. Recognizing which of these 2 extremes you've just slipped into is the absolute crucial first step in saving your maneuver.
Now listen closely to this. If you find yourself in a low attitude, there is a hard, fast rule. Do not pull the control column back. I know it is completely human instinct to just yank back when you see the nose diving toward the ground. But in a steep turn, pulling back is just going to drive your attitude further down into the dirt. The nose won't come up. Instead, you'll lock yourself into an accelerating, highly dangerous downward spiral. So what's the actual fix? Maintain your current backward pressure, gently reduce your bank angle by about 10 to 15 degrees, and simply let the nose come back up to the correct attitude naturally. Only once it's up do you reapply that steep bank.
So naturally, fixing a high attitude takes the exact opposite approach. If you glance outside and realize, uh-oh, the nose has pitched way up and your instruments confirm you're gaining altitude while bleeding airspeed, you've got to execute a really calm, counter-instinctual fix. First, just relax a bit of that back pressure or even slightly increase your bank angle. Just like with the low-attitude fix, let the aircraft naturally drop the nose back down to where it belongs. Once you're stabilized again, you can continue your steep turn. It really is all about calm, deliberate adjustments.
But hey, sometimes your attitude is actually spot on, but you're dealing with an incorrect rate of turn. This basically means the nose is creeping around the horizon way slower than it should be for a steep turn. If you glance at your dash and see the artificial horizon is only showing a 30-degree bank instead of that target 45, the fix is super simple. You just have to proactively tighten the turn. You do that by rolling the bank up to the proper angle and simultaneously pulling a bit more backward pressure.
Which brings us to Section 4, Surviving Stalls and Warnings, the climax of the turn.
Before we trigger a stall here, you really need to wrap your head around a highly counterintuitive concept. The speed at which the stall warning sounds in a steep turn is significantly higher than when you're just stalling in normal level flight. Think about it. Because of that heavy G-loading we discussed, the wings are working so much harder. That means the aircraft will throw in the towel and stall at a speed that would normally be completely fine in straight flight. Oh, and a quick safety note straight from the training manuals. Before practicing these stalls, make sure the artificial horizon is actually caged. If you don't, you risk permanently damaging those super delicate internal gyros. Let's step through the terrifying timeline of what goes down if a pilot stubbornly continues a bad turn and just ignores the aircraft screaming at them. At 0 seconds, as you increase your bank and back pressure, your airspeed rapidly bleeds off, and that stall warning blares. Now let's say at 3 seconds, you just ignore it and keep pulling that control column back. By 5 seconds, things go critical. The attitude pitches up, your speed drops completely below 80 knots, the whole airframe violently judders, and bam, it stalls entirely while banked at a steep 45 degrees. It is an incredibly violent and disorienting event.
When that massive judder hits, there is no time to think. You have to execute these rapid-fire, life-saving stall recovery steps. Step 1. Instantly relax that back pressure to break the stall. Step 2. If your nose is dropped below the horizon, slam that throttle closed to stop losing height so fast. Step 3. Forcefully get your wings level to the nearest horizon. And finally, Step 4. Ease out of the resulting dive, smoothly open the throttle back up, and climb right back to your original height. Once you're safe, check your engine temps and pressures, make sure your fuel is balanced, and take a deep breath to reorient yourself.
And that, my friends, brings us to the end of our flight path for today's explainer. We've navigated the heavy 2G forces, we've actively combated that dangerous gut instinct to pull back during a low-attitude spiral, and we've successfully recovered from a violent, high-speed steep bank stall. You've seen the precise mechanics of exactly how it all comes together. The science of aviation is as incredibly strict as it is absolutely thrilling. So, knowing everything you know now, are you ready to take the controls? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep looking up, and I will catch you in the next one.